მოგესალმებით მეგობრებო, betsson.sport-ის YouTube არხზე. მე ვარ დიდი, MMA ჟურნალისტი და ბლოგის შილავს და გლავს ავტორი. შეგვიძლია ვთქვათ, რომ 2025 წელი ქართული MMA-ისთვის საკმაოდ აქტიური და წარმატებული გამოდგა. თუმცა, რამდენიმე ძალიან მნიშვნელოვანი მოვლენა ჯერ კიდევ წინ გველის. აქედან ერთ-ერთი მთავარი, რა თქმა უნდა, არის UFC-320 ოქტომბრის კარდი, სადაც მერაბ დვალიშვილი სუპერმსუბუქი წონის ქამარს Syndicate-თან დაიცავს. და ვინ იქნებოდა ამ ბრძოლაზე სალაპარაკოთ უკეთესი კანდიდატი, თუ არა მერაბის მთავარი მწვრთნელი და Syndicate MMA დარბაზის დამფუძნებელი ჯონ ვუდი. Ladies and gentlemen, and we are joined today on this fine September morning, very early for him. Of course, the head coach for Merab Dvalishvili, John Wood. John, thank you so very much for agreeing to do this. So what is it, like around 7 a.m. there?
Yeah, 7 a.m. And I mean, that's normal. I'm usually up about 6:30 anyways. And then we got our son here, so we get him to school, in the next 30, 40 minutes anyway. So we're always up, and the older I get, the less sleep I seem to, well, I want sleep, I just can't do it anymore. So I think that as soon as the sun's up, I'm up ready to go.
Yeah. What does the guy have to do to deserve some sleep, huh?
It's crazy. That's all I want to do is I'd like to just if I could get 7 hours of sleep, that'd be amazing. But that doesn't happen these days.
Parenting. What you gonna do?
Yeah.
Which grade
Well,
is he?
parenting and having 100 fighters that keep me in several different time zones all over the world, so
That also
it's
feels a bit like parenting.
trust me, it's very much parenting or I'd like to say it as a principal of a crazy high school.
Yes,
But
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely they're both jobs. They're both jobs, full-time
Both a
jobs.
handful, huh?
Yeah, but love them both. Love them both. Wouldn't trade any of them.
Well, that's all you need to hear, really. You're a lucky man.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you very much for agreeing to do this, and let's just kind of it's been what, like I think 3 months, right, since we last saw
Yep.
each other. Yeah, since you've been here. How has your life been, I guess, since then?
It's been crazy. Everything good, man. It really is just a really like amazing time for the gym and the team and for me and my wife and son personally. It's all been good. It's been one of those like legendary runs for the team where I mean we've just had amazing success, with just some big fights and just even, from down to the little fights, amateur fights. It's just all been going in the right direction. We really hit our groove as a team goes and the culture and the vibe. It's just been phenomenal. So that part of it has been great. And then, like I said, personally, we've really done some big things with the business and family, everything's just good, man. It's really, really good. And it's everything comes in waves, and when we catch these good waves and you try to ride it out for as long, and then you just have to figure out how to make that last. Like, I'm not here to just have a good run. I want the entire, I want a legacy here that we're building upon right now. And I think it started right now. And, we got the gym, the MMA awards came out, and, we've got nominated for Gym of the Year and Coach of the Year and Fighter of the Year and Fight of
All
the
the
Year. And it's
nominations.
just, yeah, it's just been really, it's like mind blowing, and it's crazy because like I've always seen this happening. It's when your dreams and things come to fruition, it's kind of like, whoa. It's just the future. It's so good when you can see your future start to kind of get mapped out, and so it's really awesome.
You ever get scared that, like that it's going so well, you almost feel like somebody's gonna come and just take it all away?
Well, I was actually talking to one of my fighters, a couple of my fighters yesterday about this. This is why you'll never hear me go on and brag or go on and take that moment and run with it in a way that is going to come off negatively. Like I don't let the ego, because exactly what you just said, it can all go away immediately. This sport can turn on you, and I always say MMA, you can love MMA as much as you want. You can be married to it, you can be invested to it, but MMA, like fighting hates you. It does not care about you. It does not care about your feelings. It does not care about your life, your family, your this, your that. It just wants you to win. So everything we're doing is just, based upon winning, 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 which is it's almost impossible to do all the time. So I never get too excited. I never get too, oh, this is our moment. We're taking it. We're killing everybody. We're coming for we're coming for your heads. It doesn't, I just, hey, this is an awesome time. I want to know, I want to figure out how we keep this going. And it's been a couple of years now where we're on one hell of a run. And my job as a coach and as a leader is to try to, like I said, extend that for as long as we can. And you're gonna have dips, but you want it to be trending in the right way. As long as it's like there's always gonna be down times. There's somebody's always gonna lose. That's gonna happen. But as long as that's not the norm and the team is growing and the team is expanding, the team is happy and healthy, your families are happy and healthy and everything, that is where, success lies. So they can all go away if you allow it to and you get ahead of yourself and you start to believe in your own hype and you start to believe in the bullshit. You kind of saw, all the stuff with the fighting nerds that just happened. It's not that those guys are bad, bad fighters. They're all really good fighters and a good team and stuff, but the hype was built up so big. And I'm not saying they believe their own hype, but like you hear this like push of just da da da, like we're taking over. Well, that's not the way it works. And then now, look, like these guys, they all lost this year, which they're all, like I said, great fighters, great team. But now you've got to have that feeling of you put all this out there. And MMA fans and fans in general and sports fans are so fickle. They'll turn on you and you see all this crap that people are just now like, oh, they're just fraud. Da, da, da. It's like, no, they just got hyped up, whether it was their own thing or that. So I try to stay away from that. I try to stay away from because when the down happens, it's not that bad. It's expected. It's going to happen.
That's the name of the game, huh?
Oh yeah.
Very, very, very refreshing to hear that. I always do appreciate when I hear coaches, even fighters, but mostly coaches have that perspective. That's definitely a breath of fresh air. I think you guys are on the right path, and let's just hope that the climb and this fantastic wave kind of continues and you keep riding it.
Yeah, I think it will. I really do. I think it all comes to building sort of culture that we've spent the last few years on reshaping, and that's where everything has kind of taken over. And the success has happened from to even the front desk at the gym, all the way through to the world champion fighters. We've changed everything, and it really has had a huge shift, and we're going to keep it keep it going. And like I said, there'll be down times, but we're adding as we're growing. I'm adding new coaches. We're, like I said, expanding, adding more mat space, more this, more that. And I just won't ever allow myself or my team or anybody to get ahead of ourselves.
Hmm.
It's like we all grow together, and so that's the way I think that we can have that run go for a long time.
Yeah, must especially come in handy like right now because I think it's safe to say that you are kind of in the middle of three very big camps, right? You have Merab, you have Khalil, and you have Weili in a super fight, which is my dream come true. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was so hyped for that fight. I've been waiting for that
Yeah.
fight for so long. I'm gonna talk to you about that as well, obviously. But yeah, before that, however, of course, the main topic that we would I want to focus on, and of course our
Sure.
audience wants to focus on is Merab and his upcoming fight. Third title defense in a year. It's been, would you say that it's been an unusually quiet camp? Because it's like what, 2, 3 weeks before the fight, and we still haven't seen any videos of crazy cuts, crazy traumas, crazy, I don't know, medical scenarios. How
Yeah,
has it been going?
that's funny that that's become the norm. No, it's been a phenomenal camp. I can't wait for everybody to see this version of Marab. It's the things he's doing. I mean, we all talk about it. Everybody, the whispers in the gym is just like, oh my God, how does this guy keep getting better? I mean, and I told you this, I told everybody this a long time ago. The thing is, He's a world champion. He's a world champion, and his ceiling is still so much higher. He has so much room to grow. He's still raw and green in the MMA game. He's still just very like he's still learning and he's still getting better and he's already so good. It's mind blowing. The things that like we're having to do and one, we all know it's impossible to get the guy tired. It's impossible to slow him down. And that has only gotten better. His cardio, his strengths, his IQ. The guy has one of the highest fight IQs I've ever seen, if not I've ever seen. Like there's reasons champions like him and Weili and like they're both very similar in the way that they're champs for a reason. There's something special about them in their brains and their minds and their bodies. But man, he has turned it up so much. We've had an influx of we've got some phenomenal world champion like MMA strikers, world champion kickboxers, jiu-jitsu guys, like every good partner, the best partners you could have ended up being with us for this camp that could really, do Sandhagen, if not better than Sandhagen, and it's the things that I'm seeing and the things that he's doing is just blowing my mind and everybody's mind. And it's been, maybe today, maybe we do need him to bust his head open just maybe I'll go in and hit him with a hammer and just give him a little cut and let it, just so it feels normal. But it has been a great, healthy, just fantastic camp. We still got 3 weeks to go, so I'm sure it's Merab, so I'm sure Merab will do Merab things. I
He'll
don't
fix it
think
all.
we'll. Yeah, yeah, he'll fix it. Don't worry. I have faith in my man
Yeah.
that something's going to come up. But yeah, it's usually when I go out of town too. So I don't think I have to go anywhere for the next. I think until his fight, I've set it up to where a lot of our fights are in town. So maybe I need to just take a quick vacation with the
Mm.
wife and let him hurt himself, and then we'll come back and go from there.
So
But
it
yeah,
feels normal. It feels like fight week.
yeah, all cylinders are firing, and man, the man he is living up to the machine moniker for sure.
Yeah, Matt Favola really, really coined that one. I mean, come on, Matt. Perfect.
It's great. Yeah, I mean it's just mind blowing. Like we're literally, I mean, we have some of the best guys in the world training with him, and with his new like his submissions and his striking like. We just needed to get Merab to believe in how good he was at these things. But I mean, he's running through partners, not because he's a dick or hurting them.
Mm.
He's just turned it up so much with his submission threats, with his striking threat. He's just gassing guys so much quicker. We end up having to have two or three or four guys on deck just to finish, the 5 rounds.
Mm.
And like again, he'll do his 5 rounds in the cage and then he goes out and does another five more on the mat, no problem. Like the
Yeah,
guys, it's blows my mind.
that's amazing. Yeah, sometimes you just see that in fighters. I mean, they're good on a come up, and then things just click. Would you say that that's kind of what you're witnessing?
Yeah, and it's weird. Like it was funny. Somebody, we got a high level guy, helping us out in camp with some ground stuff, and I've said this for years. Marab learns differently than anybody I've ever taught in my life. To a point where when we first, whatever 5, 6 years ago when he first came in, I was like, I don't think I can work with this guy. I don't think he pays attention. I don't think he gives it. I don't think he cares about what I'm telling. And it was funny because he's one of those guys that he's got that MMA ADD where he's just all over the place. You'll be teaching technique and he's over fighting somebody in the corner, doing completely the opposite thing. But said he'll come back the next day when you think he's paid no attention and he will hit the moves perfect. He will hit the moves in sparring live perfect. And you're like, dude, you weren't even paying attention. One of my guys yesterday was talking about how we're going over some grappling stuff and some defenses and submissions and things. And he's like, dude, he's like, I didn't, I didn't think that he was even like liking what I was showing or doing, paying attention to what he's doing. Like he's like he is just like off in La La Land. And then the next thing I know, he's doing the technique perfect. So it's like I swear to God, he's got like eyes in the back of his head, or he like absorbs it through his skin. I don't know how he does it, but the dude just sees a move one time and he does it perfect, and So the way he's learning, we've learned how to coach him. Everything has clicked in that sense. And it's really, it's something special, man. And so like, it just when you think it's clicked and you're running it, it clicks even more. And it's just
Hmm.
like on to the next thing. Like I said, his submission game since his last go, my God, like I just tell him a number now in when we're sparring. I said, give me 2 submissions this round. And he'll go out there and he'll make sure he hits them. All right, I want
Oh.
3. I want it done before this. And this guy will, I mean, it's mind blowing. It really is.
Do you think it's a confidence thing that now that he's hitting it?
100%.
Yeah, right.
100%. Like I said, I told him a while ago, Merab is a very, once he trusts you, it took a long time. I had to let him believe that that was the place that Syndicate was the place he wanted to be when he first got there. He was, milling around for a year or two before we ended up like coming together and going, okay, like, and he's like, I want you to coach me. Okay. And then, like I said, figuring out how to coach him took me a little bit. And then once we figured that out, and then just seeing like you just kind of add things in. And when you see him go, ooh, I like that. I'm into that. Teach me more. That's when you add more. And I've been telling him for said years. There's points and times in every fight that he's had. If you go back and watch, and I've said this and I'll say it again, where people just want out. They maybe not like all the guys he's fought are great guys. Like they're phenomenal fighters. But there's points where they're just like, dude, get off me. I'm tired of this. There's openings to get them out of there, and he just wasn't looking for it. And now. He's looking for it. He wants it. And he didn't believe before. He just thought he was a grinder. So
Hmm.
once now he fully believes that he can be a finisher. This man fully believes he can be a finisher. I'm watching him drop people and striking. I'm watching him sub. I'm watching him hit 20 subs, practice every day. And I'm not exaggerating. He is just going. That belief now is going to be something I think that maybe the fighting's never seen. When he gets in there, it's just a different animal. Like he just will wear you out. And the fact now that you have to that threat level, you have to worry about him knocking you out. You have to worry about him choking you out. But, I mean, he hit some stuff yesterday on the mat where I was just like, like,
Where has this been?
dude, the dude just, he is, like I said, I can't say it enough. He is just something special. But now that that threat level is up there, not only is that working now to like finish fights, but that's going to make you even more tired when you're having to defend this little crazy gorilla that's just on you, pounding you, and then trying to choke you unconscious. Like it just makes everything that much worse for people. And I really do think you're going to see a lot of finishes in this part of his career.
Well, we are looking forward to that because again, these past couple of fights, just this whole run, this championship run, I mean, has been I won't say unparalleled, but pretty damn special, you would say.
I think at
And
the end of it, I think at the end of this run, whenever it ends, I don't know that it ever will. I think it's gonna be in the record books.
I think it already is, but sure, yeah. It just I think it was Luke Thomas who said this. It was a very, very cool phrase that I thought that sure his competition is kind of getting a second crack at him right now,
Hmm.
but he is also getting a second crack at them. And from what we can see, it does not really end well usually.
Yeah, and that's my job. The thing is like people don't understand when you get in there with him, it's a different monster. It's different than anything you'll ever experience or feel. So once you've been in there, it does give you that, oh, okay, I know what to expect. But it also gives you that I know what to expect of, oh my God, when things start to take the turn that they're gonna take, your mind goes, holy sh I can't stop this guy
Hmm.
now. So there is a level of on both sides of, oh, I've been in there with him, so I know what to expect. But when you can't stop him from doing what he did before and it gets worse and feels worse because he is better, then that also breaks your mind. Like that was something when the O'Malley thing is, I was like, listen, he's gonna come out good, he's gonna come out better. There's gonna be, moments where maybe I mean, whatever I said, but once that first takedown happens, once that first exchange happens, and he goes, "Oh shit, I'm back." Don't worry, like their mind is going to revert back to that terrible spot you already put them in.
PTSD
So
comes back.
yeah, yeah. So it's a double-edged sword,
Mm.
Like yeah, you've experienced Marab, but one, you've never experienced the Merab that you're going to experience this time. It's going to be worse,
Mm.
but you're also going to have that in the back of your head going, my God, like this dude is not, what do I do? So I think, again, Sandhagen is a new one, but we've fought that style before. He's a very tricky fighter. There's a lot of stuff that it looks trickier than it might be.
For
There's a couple
example,
things we have to. What's that?
for example.
I mean, he's got a lot of flashy footwork and a lot of good stuff. Like I said, I'm a Sandhagen fan, and he's got a great coaching staff and people. So it's a really, it's an honor to coach against those guys and to fight guys at that level. But you can't just get caught up into people's what they're doing so much, and without talking about too much. There's some things where it's like I think the way he moves and the things to do will be, counterproductive for him in the fight. I think there's going to be a lot of openings for us and things that people don't realize how good Merab's timing, how good his footwork is, how good like his vision is, the best in the world. So, Corey's a great fighter, and I think, like I said, it's going to be a great fight. But I don't think the outcome changes any way, shape, or form. Like Merab downloads information and makes reads on people better than I've ever seen anybody, um, whether we finish Corey or not, I think the outcome is the same. I think our hands getting raised, and I think it'll be a great fight. But I just think that, Merab is on a different level than everybody right now,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
he's gonna
Um,
stay there.
I do agree with you 100%. I'm a huge Sandhagen fan, and I think the fact that Corey has not been a champion and is not a champion yet just kind of speaks to how great this division is and, how competitive this
Yeah.
division is. Because, I mean, a fighter like Corey Sandhagen with, again, Trevor Whitman and Ryan Hall in his corner, I mean, that's a full package if
Yeah.
if we ever gotten one. And yeah. But what would you say? Because I kind of am getting this sensation about Corey from the fan base generally, Georgians and not only Georgians, that he's being a bit overlooked. And his last performance against Figgy, I thought was pretty commendable, pretty impressive. He showed again
Mhm.
some new wrinkles, but again, without giving too much. What would you say is maybe some unique challenge that you think he presents besides footwork? Because I think that in this fight he will probably try to plant his feet a little bit more and go forward. At least that's what he said in his interviews.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. I'd love that. That'd be phenomenal. We welcome that greatly. You know, like I said, he's a very well-rounded fighter. He's good on the ground. He's good on his feet. He's got tricky stuff, a lot of jump knees,
Hmm.
kicks. He's a very well-rounded fighter, at the top of the game. And guys who's a championship, he's a world championship caliber fighter.
Hmm.
I think you're running up against a guy who is just better and can deal with all that stuff. It'll be tricky. Like I said, I think the first round or two will be tricky as far as letting, Merab get the timing, the downloading the information and seeing what's coming at him. Um, but I mean, it's always my job if I was to look at, Merab, how would I attack Merab? How would I beat Merab? Where are the openings? What have we seen in past fights? There's nothing like, you know, okay, he got kicked in the body with Sean O'Malley. Great. Like, try that again. We'll see what happens. Like he hasn't been kicked in the body in three fights now. There's a reason why. There's things where we look for the openings. Corey's got a slick jiu-jitsu game, so we're preparing for that too.
Or
Wherever
leg
this
locks.
goes. Yeah, don't worry. I mean, we're working on all those things, and it's not like Merab hasn't seen leg lockers. Like he's on the mat with some of the best guys in the world with some of these, going for leg locks all the time. And to be honest, he's gonna be just fine. But it's just about, at this level, every fight we fight is the next best guy in the world. We're fighting the best guy in the world besides us. Like that is the next. So you have to respect them all. And it really just comes down to, like I said, sharpening up. making sure that there is no holes in Merab's game, that he's ready for everything, and then being able to change. The biggest thing with, I think, one of Merab's greatest talents is the fact that the dude can change a game plan like momentarily, seconds. He can, okay, I'm going here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Okay, we're doing this, we're doing that. He makes adjustments. So whatever, they decide to bring, and it's going to be a lot, these guys, like I said, Corey's a great fighter. You can't sleep on him. I don't know
Mhm.
how. I don't think he's being overlooked at all, and much from like the real, like fans and people that know the guy is, like I said, he's been doing it for a long time with at the highest levels. I think he's just getting overlooked because of how good Merab is. But that's my job to make sure
Yeah.
that, hey, we're not, we got to take this. Every fight is the biggest fight. This is the
Mhm.
biggest fight that Merab will have ever had. Every fight, the next fight is the biggest fight that you will ever have, because that's the fight where you could, if you slack, you could lose the belt.
Yeah.
You're building your legacy. So it's just finding different ways to make sure that we stay locked in, focused, and ready to go. And I think that, like I said, it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a fun fight. I think these two are going to go at it. I don't see any way it being a boring fight. And I do think that Corey's gonna, there's a level of, hey, I can't do this, I can't do that, so I'm gonna sell out, and I'm gonna sit down, and I'm gonna swing, I'm gonna go forward, I'm gonna do this. But like I said, we're prepared for all those things.
Yeah. I think that you guys probably know about being overlooked better than anyone else because Merab has been a perpetual underdog in so many fights, up until
Hmm.
the Umar title defense. And now you kind of know that, yeah, better than anyone that how that can end. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's why, yeah, you just can't take it lightly. He's hungry. These guys are, they're trying to fulfill their dream, and that's what I always tell Marab. Listen, we don't have to have beef with everybody. You don't have to hate everybody. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to be a war, but let's save the friendship shit for after, because this
Yes.
guy wants to come and take away everything that you've earned. He wants to strip away everything that you have. He's looking to take your livelihood, take your belt, take your fan base, take everything from you. So let's just make sure that friends are great and we can be whatever. And like I said, you don't have to go to war with everybody and be, I'm Corey's a respectful guy, but don't forget for a second that he's not there to do his job, and his job is to basically ruin your life if we let him, and we're not going to let him do that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Do you kind of wish that there was more of a maybe the energy was a bit more like it was pre-Umar fight when he was like very focused and very well, he was in a different mindset, I would say.
yeah, this one is a little different because Corey is a pretty respectful guy, and I don't see there being that beef. But again, that's part of my job, is to make sure. I don't think that Merab isn't looking to be best friends. Will he be best friends after? If you want to be best friends, he'll be best friends after. The guy is a lovable, likable guy. There's not I don't think there's a mean bone in his body when it comes to that. But this is a fight. And again, my job is to make sure that he's focused in, locked in, and to know that you don't have to hate somebody to want to kick the shit out of them. And, that's what we're gonna, this is what we get paid to do. You're
Of
a
course.
prize fighter. This is the job. So you can feel good, bad, and different about somebody, but we have a job to go in there, and that's basically, try to destroy somebody in the
Hmm.
cage. And so I think his mind is prepped. Do I like a little bit of anger? Do I like angry Marab? Yeah, I do. Like I don't dislike it, because he's one of those guys that those emotions don't spill over to bad. They spill over to driving him. Like he's not there to play around when it goes live. He's competing for every second, every minute on the mat. Like he is there to go. He's just
Hmm.
not a dick about it. He's
Yeah.
just very, like I said, great, gracious, and grateful for what he has.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you this question for a long time because again, I don't know him that well personally, but this sport is filled with so many personalities, and it's cool to see a guy like Merab that can kind of have both sides of this, living in one
Yeah.
person kind of. But you actually mentioned, and I'm so glad that you did, training with some high level guys, and I saw some pictures of you guys had Demetrius Johnson at the gym training with Merab.
Yeah.
How did
Yeah.
that go? How did that happen?
That was awesome. That
Yeah.
was awesome. Yeah, Dimitri's got his YouTube channel or podcast or whatever he's
Yeah,
got,
yeah.
all of those things, and he tours. Yeah, he tours around and trains with guys, and he hit up Merab and came in. So that was really cool to have them on the mats together and just to see two, living legends going at it. And it went great. It was awesome. Like that was definitely something where it's like, oh, there's Demetrius Johnson, like one of the best in the world. So I've never seen like, our team doesn't get really like we have so many big names and people and coming through all the time, but like him, like I've never seen so many people want to take pictures and with somebody. It's just different when you get a guy like that. How much respect, even though I think we all agree that DJ never got the respect that he deserved as a fighter when he was fighting, but like the fighters know, like, people know, oh my God, that guy's one of the best in the world. So it was really cool. I even asked to get a picture with him. I don't, like I'm not a big you know, fan of taking pictures of people and stuff, but like you get somebody like that, like I said, he's a living legend. So it was really awesome to see those two training together and going at it. And it was, some high level stuff.
Yeah. Do you feel like kind of Merab also feels like he cut a similar corner? It all came to DJ and this popularity and this love from fans. It kind of happened, unfortunately, as you mentioned, after he was done fighting in the UFC at least. But with
Yeah.
Merab, it also kind of seemed that way, like he was going on a trajectory. But the attitudes towards him within the fan base, and I would like to say within the UFC as well, has changed a little bit. Would that be a fair assessment?
100%. 100%. There's a point in time, a few years back where I sat down with him and said, hey, listen, like you have all of the tools and all of the talent and all of everything you need to be one, a champion, but two, a star. And those things are two different. There's a difference between being a champion and being a star, a champion star like together. There's that's different. And so you got to learn to play the game. Ultimately, this is a business, and sometimes the loudest talkers and people are the guys that get the most, attention. And we've seen that like recently, like we talked about earlier. There's teams, the fighting nerds, these guys, came out, they had a gimmick, and they got all the stuff, and boom, they exploded. There's certain things that can get you there, but you have to be able to sustain it, and Marab just needed to learn to play the game a little bit. And I would say full heartedly that he's a company man now without sacrificing his morals and his values and what he believes in. And it came by, it's really awesome to see how he came by it honestly. He came by holding his ground, doing his stuff. But you have to, everything you say, everything you do in the media, social media, on interviews, everything is accounted for. They listen. The UFC hears, the UFC knows, the UFC sees. Like you have to play the game. And ultimately, he started playing the game. I will tell you, 3 fights ago, 4 fights ago, even when he won the championship, he was not very well liked by anybody yet. And so that the whole goal was one, his fighting style. Sometimes he was known as a grinder and as a this and a that, and so we've worked to add on to the game for his fighting style, for fan friendly stuff. Not for the fans, but just because he's capable of doing it. Once you see what somebody can do, you need to be able to push them in the right direction to be able to do those things, to be able to be a finisher, to be able to be. But it was right around the Cejudo fight is where everything changed for him with the fan base, where he became like, his social media, he became one of those guys that he really is funny. And the reason he's shifted with fans so much is because he is so sincere. The dude's funny as hell, like he's a great dude. Like none of that stuff is he's just funny. Like he doesn't have to try to be funny. Like he's a great guy. He's always telling jokes. It makes me laugh all the time. And then so the fan base started picking up, and that's when UFC goes, okay, we got fans behind you now, but we still don't like you. Maybe we'll throw you some fights and see what happens. And then obviously he started beating all the top guys and beating the guys and becoming the champion, And then even then, like I said, the Umar fight was where it turned with the UFC when he took that fight and how he did it and doing it in a basis that we didn't want to do it necessarily at that time because there were so many injuries and things that were just bad. But that's when he started to become a company man. That's when he started to become hey, I'm a guy you can rely on. I'll fight 5 times. I mean, the dude wants to fight again in December after this fight. He is just ready. to go and do whatever they need him to do. And he's doing it now with a fan base behind him, with exciting fights, with like his everything has changed to where he's playing the game, but being true to himself, like, so that's awesome is when you don't have to sacrifice your morals and standards and values as a person, as a fighter, to become what he's become, and it's just all working out perfectly. And that's why I believe that he will stay on top. And that's why I believe that he's gonna have a legendary run. I really do. I really believe that like he's the mindset, the fans, the company, everybody is behind him pushing him. And he's just getting stronger because of all of it.
That's amazing to see because yeah, just like you said, it's kind of like has that. Hi there.
All right.
Hi.
Let's go into school. That's
Yeah.
Maverick.
Hi. Super nice to meet you. My name is
All right.
Duty.
All right. Love you, buddy. Have a good day. Bye.
I hope I didn't embarrass him too much.
That's all good.
He's super cute. I keep seeing his content on yours and JoJo's Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Here's the wife.
Oh,
Jojo.
hi, hi. This is wholesome content that I'm here for. This is more of what we need. Well, thank you for those moments. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he kind of has this Sinatra vibe about him. He did it all his way, the right way, and
Yeah.
it's super super awesome to see. And you mentioned, yeah, the 4 times a year. Does that ever freak you out when he says stuff like this? When he says that, oh, I want to fight 4 times this year, because it scares the hell out of me. I'll be honest, but I'm
You
not there
know,
in the room with him.
here's the deal. The guy is always training like he's hey, shut up. Sorry, my dog's going off.
Oh, good.
He's always training like he's ready to fight anyways. He's there every day. He's grinding every day. So like you don't have to worry about him. Is he going to be in shape? The dude could take a fight in 2 weeks notice and be in shape. Like he's just always ready to go. So that part of it doesn't worry me because when you take short notice fight, it's a lot of like, oh, are we ready? Can we make weight? There's never a concern with that. So you take the biggest worry off the table and no problem. It just comes down to being healthy. If he's
Hmm.
healthy, and even if he's not healthy, a 70% Merab can still beat most of the people in the world. I tell you wholeheartedly on my life that I don't even know that he was 70% when he beat Umar. I
Umar.
think he was more of like 50 to 60%.
Wow.
It was bad. It was really, really bad to the point where like that was a fight that I was like, if we didn't take it or he got pulled out or the commission stopped, it I'd have been, hey man, that's a blessing. People don't realize half the time you step in there, you're injured, you're beat up, you don't feel like doing this, you're mentally that. But it's also that's something we preach a lot is like make sure you have those days in the gym. Make sure that those days where you're like, man, I don't want to do this, that you get in there and do it, knowing because there's going to be fight nights where you get in there and you go, man, I don't want to do this, and there's no turning around, there's no turning back, there's no, hey, peace, I'm gonna go home and get some rest. You're in. You can't do it. That's why, you know, you see a lot of, I think, and I'm not saying everybody, but you see a lot of food poisoning. You see a lot of, oh, I slipped and fell. You see a lot of, oh, I did this. I was, oh, right before the fight or fight week or thing. And I'm not saying they're all like that. That there's for sure the shit happens, but I feel like a lot of it, comes from here and just being able to like, there is no feeling when you realize that you're about to step in that cage and you're about to get into the biggest, craziest moment of your life in front of millions of people, and that wears on people. So like I said, I tell these guys all the time, like if you're hurt and you're banged up in the gym, being injured is one thing, but if you're just feeling off, like I'm not saying you got to do it every day, but make sure that you have those days where you feel like shit and you can go out there and you can perform. It's really just visual. If I see what Marab, whether he's good, bad, indifferent, sick, healthy, hurt, this, that, the other, if I see what I need to see in sparring, then that tells me exactly, what he's capable of doing. Um, so he's a guy that if he wants to fight, dude, he's always ready. Like I'm not gonna stop him. It's great. Like I don't think, he's not like a Pereira or one of these guys where they're getting, thrown into fights and maybe not prepared. Like there's a thing where, like I said, when Pereira was fighting all those things, he hit a great run, but also too, I personally, I saw him at all the events. Like I saw him all over the world at every UFC event. Where when I'm in Australia and he's a fight, 3 weeks away, and he's over there for a week, I see him at karate combat, at this, at that, all the way up to the fight. It's like I don't know that you're able to put in a great camp that way. Maybe you are. I don't know, but like to me, that's where I would be like, dude, if Merab was doing that, wasn't in the room training the way he is, then I'd be like, hey man, maybe we shouldn't we shouldn't do this. But that dude is like, you can't keep him out of the gym. You can't keep him from training. That is his deal.
Hmm. And also, like he mentioned when he was here, he kind of said the same thing that he loves to train. Obviously, he loves to fight, and the hardest part of it all for him personally is the weight cut. And he
Yeah.
actually, that was something very interesting that he mentioned at the press conference here. I don't know if you remember, but he said that he would try, because we all know that he kind of likes to cut weight the old school way, how he likes to say it, call it. He said that he would try a different method. He would try a test cut and see if that works out. Has that ever happened?
Listen, every time we're about to do a test cut, we end up getting in a camp. Like we were about to do another test cut, and then we got a fight offer, and he's like, "Oh no, no, I can't do it. I'll do it after." And I get it. So, um,
And can you kind of explain what the difference is to methods?
listen, Marab is one of those guys, and I say this all the time. He is the path of most resistance. He's not the path of least resistance guy. He is the path of most resistance. I'm going to do this everything the hardest, most grindy way I possibly can, and that's what makes him feel and know he's ready. So we're very on the borderline with the weight cut when it comes to like, listen, a lot of times I thought, hey, you're overtraining, but
Mm.
I don't think the dude can overtrain. That is just the way he goes. So I've laid off and I let him do what works. The weight cut. This is the one where I'm like, I would love to have him suffer a little bit less, but he also believes that old school mentality. If he's not suffering, it's not working properly. It's not doing what it needs to do. He's not getting what so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know it's going to change. It might not change until it doesn't work, and hopefully, God willing, it never doesn't work,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully it always
Mm-hmm.
works. But there's better ways. Weight cutting, I think, is the stupidest, most terrible thing in that you could possibly do in any athletic performance sport ever. Like, who wants to? You're basically killing yourself, not only for just a couple days before, but for a month. You're starving yourself. Your diet's depleting, and you're still trying to do all these things. In a way, it's not good for your body. It's not good for your brain. Weight cutting is it's such a puzzle that I don't know that we can ever solve because somebody's always going to try to do it. If everybody just fought at the class they were walking around at, that'd be great, but that's not going to happen. People are always going to cut corners. They're always going to try to cheat the system. It's not cheating, but cheat the system so you can be bigger, you can be stronger.
Get the
But
advantage.
but the sake of man, what these guys go through, you're just killing yourself 24 hours before you have to go step into a cage with another guy trying to rip your head off. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy and mind blowing to me. But it's part of our sport. It's part of what it is. So I don't know how. Maybe you add more weight classes. I think that would be one thing. But you're still going to get the dumbasses that try to, still cut down to the whatever. But at least as far as it comes to Marab, he's got an old school mentality. He likes to grind. He likes to, even though he absolutely hates it, and there's
Mm-hmm.
much better ways. There's better ways we could do it, I think, from doing it. But I don't, he just needs to feel the way he feels, and he gets it done, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a whole different deal. But it's interesting.
He just doesn't eat anything, right? After like Tuesday or something. Is that how it works?
He doesn't eat, he doesn't drink, he just grinds it off,
Uh,
it's crazy. But it works.
works for
So,
him. Yeah.
I just would like to maybe, if we did it there's, like I said, I think some better ways that maybe he could even be that much better in the cage, feel that much better. But
Mm.
we'll get to that someday. I think maybe after this fight, if I, I'd have to like, I'd have to get him in a test cut like the week after the fight, just so because he'll probably be booked right after this. Because again, on this one, he's already calling for December, which I'm sure he'll get. So,
Oh wow, really?
oh yeah, he
There's
wants to
really
fight.
a
He wants.
chance?
Yeah, it won't. It will not surprise me if he comes
Whoa.
out of this fight happy and healthy.
Mm.
I don't think there's any. I don't. There's no doubt in my mind that he's at least going to try to fight, if not fight in December.
Well, that's crazy. Yeah, I know that he wants to do it. I would just kind of never really thought that UFC would go for it, I guess. But yeah, now that you mentioned, why not, I guess, huh?
I mean, they'll go for it. UFC if they can, if they need a hole to fill in one of these cards or a big main
Mm,
event, you wouldn't you would be amazed of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes and the calls we get of like, hey, do you want to be the main event? We'll take you off this card.
mm,
Like things shift and move around all the time. So there's always fights dropping off. There's always people getting hurt. Things that are just, they're always trying to fill those gaps and how many cards they have now and how many people they have and like, you know, not to say there's not a lot of great fighters, but like we don't have right now those superstars that they had built. The UFC, it seems to be that they don't build those superstar machines anymore. Whether that's to their own thing because sometimes it just doesn't work, or they're just there's so many good fighters, and I really believe it's hard to separate yourself. It's really hard to separate yourself from the pack. So those superstar fighters aren't out there all the time to make those big name fights. So they're always, scrambling to put things together. But like someone like Merab, who I do believe is reaching that superstar status, and especially after this fight, and if he gets one more, I think he might possibly be the one of the biggest stars in the sport. So I think they'll let him do what he wants to do.
that's awesome. Well, let's fingers crossed for that because yeah, that would be a legendary run, a legendary story just to compare from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
unbelievable.
yeah.
Okay, and of course, yeah, my whatever I saved for the dessert.
Hmm.
Weili and Valentina. Again, I've been dreaming of that about that fight for months, honestly. I was kind of bummed out when they announced the Tatiana fight, obviously, because
Mhm.
I was like, oh crap, because we're not getting that. But finally, they're gonna square off. First of all, is
Yeah.
it safe to assume that Weili is done with 115?
From what I understand, yes.
Hmm.
I think that she's vacating the belt and going up and making the move. She's another one, never, doesn't really enjoy the weight cut. She never gets big, but she's just naturally just jacked. She's
Hmm.
just a little ball of muscle. So, I think that we're obviously in the latter stages of, she's done everything you can possibly do in that division. Um, and now it's time to challenge yourself. And obviously, this kind of fight, these are the kind of fights finally, like, I was a little worried too, because the last I had heard a few months ago that it was Jindroba, she was going to fight again, and that we were going to, potentially lose this fight.
Hmm.
Because these super fights don't, like, this is a legit super fight from two of the best fighters in the world meeting each other, and it doesn't happen a lot. So I'm stoked that it's happening, and I think she's gonna, stay at 125, obviously, and defend that belt once she gets it.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like the women's MMA right now is in a little bit of a slump, I guess, or something. Maybe it's like, a little bit in those down phases and just having this fight announced. I know we have Kayla and Amanda potentially, being spoken about, and that's also a huge fight. But for me in women's MMA today, Valentina versus Weili is like pound for pound the best fight that you can make and just the level of skill that these both possess. So how much does she work with you guys in Syndicate? Because I know she does a lot of her work in China, right?
Yeah, so she does, she lives in China, she does her work there, and then she usually starts camp and does it in Bangtao in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
She'll kind of do the pre-camp, and like for this one, they'll be in Vegas here. in the next few weeks. So we'll get like I think 6 to 8 weeks for camp here in Vegas. Um, but I mean, she's just she is such a freaking athlete. Like there, I think pound for pound, one of the most athletic women, men, fighter, anybody on the board. She is a specimen. She's crazy. Like it's off the charts what she does. But she usually brings her own crew. She keeps a
Hmm.
very tight knit group and brings in the people that she wants to bring in and have them working for towards the goal of just what she needs. She doesn't jump into like open practices or anything like that. It's all set up specific for her, and so she has her sparring partners, she has people that we work with. Um, a lot of the work at the PI, or she'll come in and like we'll do stuff after hours, at Syndicate. But we build it, basically just it's built around her, what she needs, what she wants, what we think we're gonna need for the camp. And then, they just, like I said, I'm fortunate enough to be able to be brought in to work with somebody like that. It's a dream come true and amazing. And like I said, it's fights like this, those are the things I'm going to sit back and, when I'm old and crusty or older and crustier, I'm pretty old and crusty now, but I go like, man, that was an awesome part of that. I tell my grandkids, man, grandpa was in the corner for that one, those it definitely, this is one of those fights.
Legendary. And it's so funny that she's in Thailand because that's where Valentina trains as well. But I think she trains at Tiger Muay Thai.
Yeah, they train at different gyms.
Yeah, and
So,
the funny thing is that Valentina is actually one of her sparring partners is a Georgian girl,
oh
Elena
yeah.
Lolatz. Yeah, yeah. It's. I saw her Instagram post and I recognized the girl. Yeah. So we actually had Imavov. He did a
Hmm.
big portion of his camp for Cayo in Georgia. And at the
Oh
same,
really?
yeah, I think he was here for a good couple of weeks. Like he worked with some of the wrestlers here, and then he
Hmm.
left for Paris. That was fun. I thought there was a funny detail that he was coming here, and Valentina has like a Georgian sparring partner in Thailand, and so many Georgian guys are actually, Syndicate has kind of became this little Georgia in
Oh yeah,
Vegas.
for
Yeah.
sure. Well, Merab has definitely put the Georgian MMA on the map, and I think you're going to see more and more guys coming out, and all of them are welcome at Syndicate. We like I said, it's like little Georgia in there right now. We've got a couple really really good guys that are just that are going to be on the up and coming here soon. But overall, man, just even, it's crazy. Syndicate has become such a, melting pot from all over the world. We have guys flying in all over the world. We've got um, Tajikistan, Georgia, Russia,
Azerbaijan.
Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan. We've got, I mean, everywhere, everywhere. I think that we got some Afghanis. We've got, I mean, just like any country you can think of, we've got in there, and it's really cool to see everybody because again, we thrive on a culture there. We thrive on a vibe and a culture of like just, hey, we're all in this together. Hard work. We're not here. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what you do. As long as you're a good training partner and you bring good energy to the mat and you're going to make everybody better. So it's awesome. So like all these cultures, countries, and different things all coming together and everybody gets along for the most part. Like there's a few here and there that are a little rougher around the edges, but like it's really cool to see. You know, you've got a lot of countries that maybe don't even like each other that are working together and
Mm-hmm.
and getting along. So it's cool.
That's super cool to hear. And I think it just speaks again, as what you said, the culture that you've established, because this sport, again, it's just so special to me. And I think to everyone else who watches it, that seeing these kind of things and these connections from different parts of the world coming together, people just like helping each other. And it's amazing to see. And I think it's very, very precious. And
Yeah,
yeah. And as you make our guys welcome over here, and of course, I think it's safe to say that I think you know that you're always welcome back here. I know last time it was
absolutely.
only about 3 days, but yeah, I think you had a pretty good time here, huh?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, well, beautiful country, beautiful people, great food. That was Georgia's definitely one of the top of my list of places that, especially because I didn't know what to expect. I've
Mm,
been to Russia, I've been all over that area, and it's not very a lot of places aren't very welcoming and warm, and Georgia's completely opposite. Beautiful, countryside, architect, everything like I said, the food and just the people overall. It was a really great experience and one that I will never forget for sure. And two, like, yeah, I would love to come back.
Anytime. Come back for a little bit longer and let's go to the mountains, or like just I'll show you around with pleasure. Yeah, you
Awesome.
and Jojo and Maverick, right? Did I get the
Yes,
name
Maverick.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Love that name. Well, okay, John, last question, I promise, and I'll let you go. Get on with
All
your
good.
day. So we talked about all these three fights, right? Merab versus Corey, Jury versus Khalil, and Weili versus Valentina. What would be your perfect scenario? Realistically, what would you say that would be the perfect scenario just based on everything that you guys have done in these camps?
Yeah, I mean, perfect scenarios. Obviously, they all win. I don't care how they win,
Hmm.
but I do believe that we have a really good crack at having a perfect scenario. I like all of my fighters' chances very well in these fights. Start with Khalil and Yuri. Like Khalil, really, this has been the best camp in the entire time that I've had him for 12, 13, 14 years, something like that. This is the best camp that I've seen him. This is the best mentally prepped, the best physical, the best training partners, the best kind of just everything we've had. And I know it's cliche, and you hope for each camp to be the best camp because you're going into a fight. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. Last camp for Jamal was terrible. He was hurt,
Really?
he tore his knee. We were very close to pulling out of that fight. He had to get some stem cell injections, cortisone, like all kinds of crazy stuff just to even get it. So that was Khalil at, again, 60%. And now, like I said, I think he's again the same kind of concept as Merab, where he's believing a little bit more. He's opened himself up a little bit more to different things, and it's showing. Khalil and Yuri, like again, that's gonna be, man. I think fight of the night. There's gonna be bonuses in that fight. I guarantee you. There's going to be bonuses, and there might be multiple bonuses for Khalil. Like I said, I could see fight of the night, performance of the night type of deal. I do believe that we are getting the KO in that one. I don't think that fight goes 3 rounds. I think Khalil will get the finish inside of 3 rounds. And if not, if it does go 3 rounds, 100% fight of the night. That's my prediction there. There's no chance that those guys don't go out there and beat the living shit out of each other. Weili and Valentina, you know, I just there's so many multiple ways you're talking about two of the best fighters in the world. How that is going to go down. There's multiple ways it could go down. There's multiple ways that it's a very intriguing one to game plan for. I'll tell you this because Valentina's tricky. But either way, I will tell you this: Wei Lee is so on top of her game right now. And again, I stated a few years ago, like when I first started working with her, she's another one that is so good and is such a dominant world champion, and she's still getting better. So I really think that in my mind, she's coming out with the victory in hand raised and that and new 125-pound champ. I really couldn't at this point in time tell you how.
Hmm.
I think I have a mindset in my head, but I have of what, but I truly do think that Whaley gets that one done. Going to be a close fight. It's going to be a very close fight. Very technical, maybe one of the most technical fights you've ever seen, especially in the women's division. But I got Whaley in that one, obviously. And when it comes to Merab, I I I I think you're going to see one of the more dominant performances out of Merab that we've seen. I think that it's going to be a hell of a fight. I think it's going to be a technical fight. I think there's going to be aspects where it's super technical. I think there's going to be aspects where it's a crazy throwdown brawl. I think there's aspects where you're going to see a little bit of everything in this fight. I really do. I really think that you're going to see everything. Um, Corey is a guy that I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, we're going to go out and finish. And if we don't finish him, I'll tell you this, it won't be for lack of trying. I think Marab is going to go out there with the mindset of this fight's not going 5 rounds. And again, if it does, it's going to have been one hell of a fight. And I truly believe that he is going to put on one of the best performances that you've ever seen. So, all in all, he's getting his hand raised. I think we're leaving and still, and I don't see anybody taking that belt from him for quite some time.
Oh, that's music to my ears. Music to my ears, all three of them. What are the scenarios that you painted? We're for it all. I mean, yeah, whatever. If it all goes like you said, yeah, I think MMA fans we're gonna be appreciative of it all.
It's crazy to even be talking just as a fight fan and somebody who grew up loving this sport, like to be talking and analyzing about those fights, but to be in the position to be able to, I'm in the corner for those fights, working with people, it blows my mind. Just even when I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, this is like a dream come true, you know, and it really motivates me to, you know, just to keep getting better and doing better. And I take every fight that way, whether it's a world title fight or if it's the, you know, first fight on the card or if it's some Emmy fight, you know, I still try to be in every corner. I'm so blessed and fortunate and love this sport and love doing this. Like I can't imagine doing anything different. So from the highest, you know, to the top to the bottom, it's just like I said, I always tell my guys, like, I haven't worked in the last 30 years. You know, this is just, I love doing this shit, and to be able to be part of the things I get to be part of and the things that we're doing is amazing.
Oh, that's really, really awesome to hear. I feel the same way. And just having this interview and just talking to you, like for me, like I'm happy because this is what I love doing the most. And I'm honestly, I'm so appreciative of you. I don't take that for granted for a second. And I'm always very grateful that you're so generous with your time, that you go in so many details. And yeah, it's I really do appreciate it so much. And I know I took way more of your time than I ever was hoping for, so I hope I don't, you know, make you late for whatever appointments you have.
It's okay. The wife took the kid to school, so it was it all worked out.
Well, apologize to Jojo from me.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
When you guys come to Georgia, Hinkali, and you know, wine is on me. I promise. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we'll see. Maybe before that, I'll get to drop by and come to Vegas and stop by Syndicate and kind of take a look at everything with my own eyes. I would love that.
You're welcome anytime.
John, once again, thank you so very much. Enjoy the rest of your morning. And, you know, when the fight night comes, it's more like a fight. It is a fight night for us and fight morning. None of the Georgia will be sleeping. We'll be here for Khalil. Yeah. We'll definitely be here for Merab. And of course, we're going to be here for Weili and Valentina. And we'll be cheering on. You won't be hearing us, but, you know, it'll be very, very loud. Yeah.
Well, hopefully everybody get out there and vote for the team for the MMA awards. You know, vote for Merab, vote for us, Team Syndicate, vote for Nazim Sadikov for the fight of the year and all that stuff. That'd be great.
100%. We already wrote the article about it. Obviously, we will definitely link the website in the description, so all the crazy Georgian fans can spam the freaking website. We'll do our part. Don't worry. Again, thank you so very much. You have a wonderful day. Say hi to Merab and to the rest of the guys over there at Syndicate.
Will do. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
მაშასე ეს იყო ჩვენი ინტერვიუ მერაბ დვალიშვილის მთავარ მწვრთნელთან, ჯონ ვუდთან. რა თქმა უნდა, ველოდებით მერაბ დვალიშვილის ტიტულის მესამე დაცვას კორიის სენდჰეგენთან. მანამდე კი, როგორც ყოველთვის, დაალაიქეთ ვიდეო, გამოიწერეთ ჩვენი არხი და აუცილებლად გადადით ლინკზე, რომელსაც მიუთითებთ ვიდეოს აღწერაში, MMA Awards-ის ნომინაციაში მიეცით ხმა მერაბ დვალიშვილს და Syndicate MMA-ის გუნდს. მადლობა რომ იყავით ჩვენთან. მომავალ შეხვედრამდე.